Welcome to Living Light Culinary Arts Institute. I'd like to introduce you to an accomplished nutrition educator who joins us today from Little River, California. Petra is a recognized nutrition educator and raw food chef. She teaches nutrition education at the Fort Bragg Middle and High School and coordinates the statewide, federally funded Harvest of the Month program, which allows teachers to introduce a new fruit or vegetable every month to their students. In addition, Petra has been producing nutrition education videos, which are aired on local public television. She completed her Living Light Raw Culinary Arts Associate Chef and Instructor training in June of 2007 and provides assistance to anyone wanting to improve their health and well-being. Her current projects include training cafeteria staff to include more raw food dishes in school menus, and Petra believes in making gradual lifelong health changes to create vitality and long-term health. Please help me in welcome an inspiring nutrition educator, Petra Schulte.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here and share a raw food recipe with you that's very new to me too. However, my family loves wild rice, and I have made the Greek wild rice version before for my family, where we use pine nuts and grape leaves and dill, and it's absolutely delicious. And so I'm delighted that I will show you the Mexican seasoned wild rice today, where you can have another opportunity to use wild rice. And before I continue, I would like to introduce my wonderful assistant, Vincent. Thank you so much. And it's really great to have assistants like Vincent who help you stay calmer, and you can pass things on to them. And that's kind of what life is about. And that's what I really appreciate here at Living Light, the cooperation that we have with each other and for each other. It's really wonderful. And then, of course, the great support in the kitchen, these wonderful people who work here every day. Wild rice is really wonderful. And to bloom it, all you do is you put it in water, and then you put it in your dehydrator for at least 24 hours. And you want to put plenty of water in it. We already put this net on here right now to drain it. This particular wild rice bloomed really, really well. It's kind of a brownish type of wild rice. And as you can see, and maybe you can zoom in here, it's a little bit more brownish. It blooms very well. The warmth of the water and being in the water makes the rice bloom. It doesn't really sprout, because for it to sprout, the wild rice actually needs to stay wet constantly. So the minute it gets dried, it cannot sprout anymore. But you can bloom it and harvest the beautiful nutrition, because wild rice has twice as much protein as brown rice. So it's a good protein source and a good carbohydrate source. And it also boasts a lot of vitamin Bs. So Vincent is going to drain this for us, and he's also going to rinse it very well. Because what you want to do, now my wild rice was done after 24 hours. It might not be done in that short of a time. So you want to rinse it and drain it again after 24 hours, and then you might have to continue using the dehydrator to bloom it. So you need to evaluate every day whether your wild rice is ready. And there's another variety too that's black and that's longer. And this one is, in my experience, is a little harder to bloom. Who enjoyed the wild rice that we had last week? Yeah, quite a few. And we used this darker wild rice, and it didn't bloom as much. And you'll be surprised how much this has bloomed today. And Vincent is going to pass it around now for you so that you can see it. What I will do today for you is, besides showing you how to, talking about blooming the wild rice, is creating the marinade or the Mexican seasoning. I will add that together with the wild rice, and I will show you the flavor balancing of this wonderful dish. And there's actually one flavor kind of missing at first, and we'll see if you can detect that. And after that, I will show you how to make dried tomato powder. And then we will dice some tomatoes and onions, and then also chop some cilantro, and then I'll plate it for you and give you other ideas of how to use wild rice and also what to serve it with. So first of all, I will start with my seasoning. And I'm adding lemon juice, which adds acid. Then tamari, which adds the salt. And this is wheat-free tamari. Then we have olive oil and also flaxseed oil, which give you lots of omega-3 fatty acids. So that's a healthier fractional oil. Though as a nutritionist, I would like to caution you not to use too many fractional oils a day. You would like to, ideally you use whole foods like avocados and nuts and seeds. Here we have cumin, and cumin gives it the bitter taste, and it's delicious in this. This dish is so wonderful. You will be surprised. It's really wonderful. Then we have Mexican chili blend, and in a chili blend you can have lots of different chilies. You can also have onion powder in it and garlic powder. And then we have Himalayan sea salt, which, and the Mexican seasoning dish gives it the pungent flavor. And then another pungent flavor is the garlic. So out of all of these different flavors, there's one missing. We have the fats, we have the bitter, and there's one missing that we will add in a minute. But first of all, I'm going to add this beautiful seasoning, if I could have the bowl. Thank you. And the rice in it. Thank you. Yeah, I'll do that. That's fine. And one thing that I learned is that wild rice grows in swamps, and they can grow as high as 9 feet. And they have been traditionally harvested by Native Americans, and mostly in Minnesota and also Canada. So now I'm going to add my seasoning mix. And it already smells really good. I love Mexican food, and I love Mexican people for that matter. So here we mix up the rice, and this one is beautifully bloomed. If you can zoom in here and see how beautifully bloomed this is. There are hardly any that are still very solid. Absolutely delicious. So I'm going to set this aside, and now I will show you how to add the sun-dried tomato powder. And that is the sweetness that has been missing to balance the flavoring. And we are using a high-speed Vitamix, and there are 3 dials. And I put it here because the camera can really zoom in on here. We have the on and off switch, we have the flexible dial, and then we also have the high speed. And you don't want to start with the high speed. You first turn it on, then go on variable, and then you can go on high. This will only take 30 seconds. And this is my second try. It's so easy. Anybody can do this. What you want to make sure of is that your blender vessel is really dry and that your sun-dried tomatoes are very dry. If you wanted it really, really fine, like they have for the deli, what they do is they put it into the dehydrator, the sun-dried tomatoes, for another 12 hours. And then you can get this really finely ground powder. And the powder that we are creating today is a little coarser. So I'm just going to add these here right now. It's going to make a little bit of noise. And then I'm going to flip it up. And here, now I would do this a little bit more. There's still a few chunks. And here we have our sun-dried tomato powder. It's a little bit coarser than the one I showed you, but it's easy to use. I already had some measured, so what I will do now is add the tomato powder here, and it's a little lumpy, but that doesn't matter. You just mix it up. Oh, and you can smell these wonderful flavors now. It's one of the most perfect balanced food that I have experienced. I think this will be one of my favorite raw food dishes. And now I will show you how to dice a tomato. It's very simple. Now, I don't use tomato stalks very much. I just cut out the stem with my knife. And I hope all of you compost. If not, it's a wonderful way to help the earth by taking stuff out of the landfill and making great dirt for your garden. So I cut it in half. Then I just slice it lengthwise twice. And then I cut it in strips. Let's see, I don't have to do this. And then I will just dice it. And the wonderful thing about this recipe is you don't have to take the seeds out or the juice, which I hate to do. And in this recipe, you can use all of the juices and all of the seeds. Of course, if you have other recipes, you could always drink the juice and the seeds. But this is a very quick and easy way to cut up tomatoes. And then Vincent is going to add this tomato and the tomatoes that we already prepared to the dish. And next, I'm going to show you how to dice onions, which is also very easy. Now, most people don't want to, bite into a big onion. So what I do is I cut it in half to save time, and then tuck in your fingers, and then just with a rock and roll motion, thinly cut the green onions while your fingers steadily go back so that you don't cut yourself. I don't mind big chunks of onions. I'm a fan of onions. Onions are very, very healthy. Just like garlic, and we used raw garlic in this dish. It boosts your immune system greatly. So I'm going to add the onions here and the onions that we prepared. And then I will show you how to chop cilantro. And that's very simple. Now, I don't have a huge amount here, but all you do is you take off the stems, put the stems in your compost and cut it once to make a smaller amount. Then I tuck it together. And then again, protecting my fingers, I just chop the cilantro. And for this recipe, you don't have to have small pieces, so you don't have to mince it. The difference between chopping and mincing is basically how thick the pieces are. And now I will add the cilantro to this wonderful dish and the extra cilantro that we used before. And then let me clean off my workstation. That always helps. And I'll give Vincent my tray. I don't need my knife anymore. And I'm so glad that we get to try this at lunchtime today. I'm using my second hands to blend these beautiful vegetables in there. And now I'm going to plate it. I decided on this Mexican themed bowl. Oops. And I'm going to fill it up for about 5 servings. And then to decorate it a little bit, I will add a little bit of cilantro on the border. And here we have our beautiful Mexican seasoned wild rice dish. And you could also vary it. You could make an Indian rice pilaf where you add curry or cumin. Or you could do the Greek salad that I described earlier and enjoy this wonderful dish. And thank you so much for coming.